A very good morning to all of you. Today we can discuss on the topic minimum mode and maximum mode of 8086. In minimum mode 8086, the microprocessor 8086 is operated in minimum mode by strapping its MN or MX pin to logic 1. So there is a single processor in the minimum mode system. In this mode, all the control signals are given out by the microprocessor chip itself. So this is the minimum mode in 8086. We can see some components: latches, transceivers, clock generator, memory and I/O devices. We can discuss one by one. So the latches are generally buffered output D-type flip-flops. Here we are using 74373 latches. In this figure we can see. And they are used for separating valid address from the multiplex address or data signals and are controlled by ALE signal generated by 8086. So in this figure we can see that this latches is controlled by ALE signal generated by 8086. Next we can see the transceivers. In this figure we can see the transceivers 74245 transceivers. They are bidirectional buffers and sometimes they are called data amplifiers. They are required to separate a valid data from the time multiplex address of data signal. And they are controlled by two signals, DN bar and DT or R bar. In this figure we can see that the output of, that means the DN signal and DT or R bar signal generated by 8086 is connected to these transceivers. And the DN signal indicates that the valid data is available on the data bus, while DT or R bar indicates the direction of data from or to the processor. We have already discussed that. Then the system contains memory for monitor and user program storage. Usually EEPROMs are used for monitor storage while RAMs for user program storage. A system may contain I/O device for communication with the processor as well as some other special purpose I/O devices. On the top we can see the clock generator 8284 generates a clock from the crystal oscillator and then shapes it to make it more precise so that it can be used as an accurate timing reference for the system. The clock generator also synchronizes some external devices with the system clock. So the minimum mode and maximum mode working we can discuss using the timing diagram. The output fetch and the read cycle are similar. So hence the timing diagram can be categorized into two parts. First one is the timing diagram for read cycle and the second one is the timing diagram for write cycle. So first we can see the read cycle timing diagram for minimum mode. So this is the timing diagram for read cycle. So in read cycle begins in T1 with assertion of address latch enabled and M or I/O bar signal. So during the negative going edge of the signal, the valid address is latched onto the local bus. Then the M or I/O bar indicates the memory or I/O operation during T1 to T4. At T2, we can see that the address is removed from the local bus and sent to the output. The bus is then tri-stated. And in the graph, we can see the read signal, that is RD bar control signal, is also activated in T2. This signal causes the addressed device to enable its data bus drivers. After RD bar goes low, the valid data is available on the data bus. The addressed device will drive the ready line high. So when the processor returns read signal to high level, the addressed device will again tri-state its bus drivers. So here we can see that during T1, address lines contains the address and then during T3 and TW till the mid of T4, it contains data. And higher order data address or data bus having status signals during T2, T3 and T4. and RD signal goes low. It is active low pin, so it will be low from the mid of T2 to mid of T4. And DN signal also low from the mid of T2 to mid of T4. Then we know that during the read cycle, that is receiving the data, so DT or R bar goes low. That's all about the read cycle. Next we can see the write cycle timing diagram for minimum mode. A write cycle begins with the assertion of ALE. We can see the assertion of ALE and the emission of the address. M or IO bar signal is again asserted to indicate a memory or IO operation. In T2, after sending the address in T1, the processor sends the data to be returned to the address location. So, the data remains on the bus until the mid of T4. You can see in the figure, the graph, you can see that till the mid of T4, the data remains on the bus. Then WR bar signal. The WR bar signal that becomes active, that it is active low pin, that will be active at the beginning of the T2. And BHE and A0, and here DN, that is also active low pin. It is also low from the mid of T2 to mid of T4. And DT or R bar, during write cycle we are transmitting data, so DT or R bar signal will be high. And BHE or A0, BHE bar or A0, that are used to select the proper bytes of memory or IO word to be read or write, that we already discussed. And then M or IO bar, RD bar and WR bar, the signal indicates the type of data transfer. The table shows that M or IO bar, RD bar and DEN bar. That is 001 means IO read, 010 means IO write, then 101 means memory read, 110 means memory write. So in the case of memory operation, this M or IO bar will be 1, otherwise it will be 0. During read operation, RD bar will be low, otherwise it will be high. Then DEN means during the read operation, during the write operation, this DEN bar will be low, it is active low pin, it will be 0, otherwise it will be 1. Then now we can discuss the bus request and bus grant timing in minimum mode system. So the hold pin is checked at the end of each bus cycle. So the hold pin that should be checked at the end of each bus cycle if it is received active by the processor before T4 of the previous cycle or during T1 of the current cycle. The CPU will activate HLDA, that is hold acknowledge, in the next clock cycle and for the succeeding bus cycle, and bus will be given to another requesting master. So the control of the bus is not regained by the processor until the request master does not drop the hold pin low. So it will wait for hold pin to low. So when the request is dropped by the requesting master, the HLDA is dropped by the processor at the trailing edge of the next clock. So here we can see that when hold goes to high, so then HLDA also goes high to the next clock cycle, and it will wait for hold to low. When hold goes low, then it will wait for the next clock cycle, and after the next clock cycle, this HLDA also goes to low. Then we can see the maximum mode of 8086. So in maximum mode of 8086 is operated by strapping MN or MX bar pin to ground. So in this mode, the processor derives the status signal S2, S1 and S0. We already discussed. Another chip called bus controller derives the control signal using this status information. And then in this maximum mode, there may be more than one microprocessor in the system configuration. The components in the system are same as in the minimum mode system that we already discussed in minimum mode system. Then the basic functions of the bus controller chip is to derive the control signals like RD or WR for memory and IO devices. Then DEN, DT or R bar, ALE, etc. using the information by the processor on the status signal. So the bus controller chip has input lines S2, S1 and S0 and clock, and these input to 8288 are driven by CPU. In this figure we can see that. Okay, so here we can see that the processor generates S2, S1 and S0, S1 and S2 that are given to the bus controller. So according to the status information and the clock signal, the clock generator, the clock is also connected to this bus controllers. So this bus controller that derives some signals, that is ALE, DEN, then DT or R bar, then MRDC, MWTC, AMWC, IORC, IOWC and AIOWC. So these are the signals generated by the bus controller. Then here we can see that here one more signal is generating, that is INTA bar pin, that is also used to issue to interrupt the acknowledge pulses to the interrupt controller or to the interrupting devices. Here IORC and IOWC are IO read command and IO write command signals separate respectively, and these signals enables the IO interface to read or write the data from or to the addressed port. And MRDC and MWTC are memory read command and memory write command signal respectively, and that are used as memory read and write signals. And all these command signals instruct the memory to accept or send the data to or from the bus. Also both the write commands, the advanced signals, namely advanced IO, that is WC means write command, and AMWTC are available, and also there is they are also serve the same purpose, but they are activated one clock cycle earlier than the IOWC and NWTC. Then the maximum mode system, the timing diagram also divided into two portions as read and write timing diagram. Then first we can see the read timing diagram. So this means I think this we already discussed in the pin configuration, that is according to the status information, the operation of the processor we can see in this table. And one more thing, the 8288, that is this bus controller that generates signal or according to this information of S0, S1 and S2. That means if S2, S1, S0 all are 0 means this bus controller generate INTA pin. That means it is actually used to issue the interrupt acknowledgement pulse to the interrupt controller or to the interrupting device. Then 001 means read IO port. That means it will generate IO read command signal. Then 010 means it will generate that corresponding to write IO port. So it will generate input output write command, and that is A advanced, that means A means advanced IOWC. Actually the difference between this IOWC and AIOWC means it will be activated, AIOWC that will be activated one clock cycle earlier than IOWC. Then 011 is hold, no signal will be generated. And 100 means instruction fetch. That means memory read command will be activated. And 101 then memory read. So again memory read command will be activated, because instruction fetch and memory read, both cases the timing diagram are same. Then 110 memory write, that is memory write command will be activated, and also advanced memory write command also activated. In the case of advanced memory write command, that will be activated one clock cycle earlier than the memory write command, that is MWTC. Then 111, that is inactive, so no operation. So now we can see the read timing diagram of for maximum mode. So here we can see during the T1, ALE is asserted in T1 just like minimum mode. So the only difference lies in the status signal used and the available control and advanced command signals. Remaining all are similar to our read cycle in minimum mode. Here we can see S0 to S1, that is actually active in the from the starting itself. Remaining all are same, and here one more command is there, that is memory read command. So memory read command that is active low, so that will be activated during the mid of T1 till the end of T3. Remaining all are same. Then we can see the right timing diagram in maximum mode. It is also same with the maximum mode, minimum mode. The only difference is the status signals are active, and then we can see that is input output write command and memory write command. So that will be here. We can, in the graph we can see that advanced memory write command or advanced IO write command, that will be activated in the mid of T2 and until the end of T3 it will be activated. They are active low lines. Then memory write command and IO write command, that's also active during the time period T2 to mid of T4. Remaining all are same as that of in minimum mode. Then we can discuss the timing for request or grant signal. That is, request or grant response sequence contains a series of 3 pulses. So that means the request or grant pins are checked at each rising pulse of the clock input. When the request is detected, if the conditions we already discussed, that means if it is okay to hold, so then that means a valid hold request is satisfied. Then the processor issues a grant pulse over this RQ or GT0 or GT1 pin immediately during the T4 or T1 stage. So we already discussed the conditions for granting the signal. Then when the requesting master receives this pulse, it accepts the control of the bus. The requesting master uses the bus till it requires. When it is ready to release the bus, it sends a release pulse to the processor using RQ or GT bar. So here we can see that another master requests the bus, and next clock cycle it will, if the conditions are satisfied, then CPU grants the bus to it, and then after completing its operation it will release the bus. That's all about the timing diagram of minimum mode and maximum mode. Thank you.